Charlie Kirk was and still is a very polarizing individual. And that is interesting because we all have access to the same data. Now, one group of people can look at the thousands of hours of recordings from Charlie Kirk and come to the conclusion that he's a very good man. Another group can look at the exact same evidence and come to the conclusion that he is very evil. And the question is, well, how do we reconcile? How do we explain one group saying one thing and the other group saying the exact opposite? And I think we have to go to the spiritual to understand the phenomenon, that is, explain the phenomenon. In 2 Corinthians chapter 2, I'm paraphrasing, some people can be an aroma of life to those who are going to heaven, and that is the very same person or people can be a stench of death to those who are on their way to perdition. And we have an example of this in Genesis chapter 4. We have two brothers, and both these brothers bring a sacrifice to the Lord. One sacrifice is accepted, and the one is not. Now, the one who is not has been rejected by God, and this is a very painful experience. Not only that, there's another person in his life who is very near in his life who has been accepted, so that increases the pain maybe tenfold, we'll say. And so this is the stench of death that is happening. When Charlie Kirk was out speaking, the spiritual antennas of those who are even atheists, who will even deny the spiritual, it doesn't change the fact that they do have spiritual antenna, and they're picking up on the fact that they are on their way to perdition, and they know that they have been rejected by God, or if he existed, they would be rejected by God, and this is very painful for them. And so they come to a point where this rejection makes them very, very angry. Now, God, understanding where this is going, has a little sit down with Cain and says, look, Cain, I understand you're downcast, I understand you're angry, but isn't it true that if you do the right thing, everything will be okay? And understand this, Cain, and this is something for every single human on the face of the earth to understand. Understand this, Cain, that sin is crouching at the door and wants to master you, but you have to subdue it. And this is the dynamic that we all live in. Right? We have two options in terms of our relationship to sin. Either sin controls us or we subdue it. There is no middle ground. There is no making friends with sin. Either sin is our master or we master sin. And this was Charlie Kirk's message. He said, look, some of you people are living in sin, and you don't have to. You can overcome sin, and you can be accepted by God, and you can be taken into the family of God. But some people did not want to listen to that. People were more interested in living in their sin than turning away from their sin. And so in this case, Charlie Kirk was the stench of death. And unfortunately, this is what Cain did. So Cain said to Abel, hey, let's go out into the field. Let's go smell the roses. Let's go throw some rocks and see who can throw the furthest, like we did as we were children. But this is premeditated murder. Cain had no interest in smelling the roses, had no interest in seeing who was throwing the rocks the furthest. He was interested in killing his brother Abel in order to get rid of the stench, right? So Cain, instead of doing what was right, he decided to do what was wrong. And if someone is a stench in someone's nostrils, the anger can grow to such a point that one becomes a murderer. And this is exactly what has happened in Charlie Kirk's life. Now, what is very interesting in the story, to see the parallels between what is happening today and what happened between Cain and Abel. The Lord comes to Cain and says, Cain, what's going on with Abel? And Cain knows that God knows everything. Cain knows that God knows that Cain killed Abel. And he's so deceived, he's so filled with hate, he's so filled with anger, he's so filled with murder, he thinks he can pull one over on God. And he says, I didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't do anything. I don't keep up with my brother. I'm not his keeper. This is the exact same thing that happens today, right? When people were, I'm going to say, plowing the field, okay, and saying lies against Charlie Kirk, trying to gin up hatred against Charlie Kirk, trying to gin up anger against Charlie Kirk, character assassinations against him, in spite of the evidence. People said that he was a Nazi, and people said that he was a white supremacist. All the evidence said that he was not a Nazi, and all the evidence said that he was not a white supremacist. But if you can get people to become very, very angry, then the next step, right, of course, is murder. And so the very same people that were plowing the field, setting the stage, getting people all riled up and angry and full of hatred against Charlie Kirk, those people, they have blood on their hands. Okay. And so, but those very same people who knew what they were doing, those very same people said, I had nothing to do with it. Do I keep up with Charlie Kirk? Do I know what he's doing? Did I have anything to do with it? They say no, right? But the fact of the matter is those people who ginned up the hatred against Charlie Kirk, those people are in danger of judgment. And they do have an escape. They can go to Jesus and say, hey, forgive me for my hatred against this good man. And please help me come out of my hatred. Please help me overcome the hatred. Okay. And this is also a call to us who are left behind. Charlie Kirk, he ran the race. He fought the good fight. But we who are left behind, we have to ask ourselves, do we have the same effect that Charlie Kirk had? Do we have people that come across our lives, and if they are on their way to heaven, are we an aroma to life to them? Okay. And furthermore, are we the stench of death to those people who are on their way to perdition? Right. If we're not, that means we're not doing our job. And so this video is a call to people to have a gut check. And I'd like to ask you, are you living the life that God wants you to live? And one of the expressions of that, or one of the checkpoints that we can verify as to whether we are living our lives like we should, and if we are a light like we should, like Charlie Kirk was, we have to ask ourselves, and we're about to end the video now, we have to ask ourselves, are we an aroma of life to those who are going to heaven? And are we the stench of death for those who are going to perdition?